All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're decoding a cyber heist that honestly sounds like a movie script, but it is entirely terrifyingly real. We're looking at the unprecedented dark web extraction of a missing tech CEO. This isn't your traditional true crime story. It's this crazy intersection of immense silicon wealth and underground digital predation. We're going to break down the whole shebang, the timeline, the tactics, and the exact technology that define this really desperate rescue mission. A Silicon Valley titan has vanished into the encrypted abyss. Can we outsmart the predators before the CEO's signal goes dark forever? I mean, talk about high stakes, right? It's a scenario where a physical kidnapping instantly transforms into this desperate race against a disappearing digital clock. You've got a tech leader swallowed up by the dark web, leaving behind literally nothing but impossible ransom demands. So let's map out exactly how investigators tried to outsmart these guys.
Okay, part 1, the digital vanishing act. Let's see how a localized crime scene spiraled into a massive global mystery.
To really grasp this, you have to look at this critical 48-hour window because it tells a story of just absolute blistering speed. At 0 hours, the CEO is taken directly from a high-security smart home. Boom. But within just 24 hours, the criminals have already moved the entire operation into the hidden onion routing layers of the dark web. And it isn't until hour 48 that the very first digital breadcrumbs even appear on these decentralized, completely encrypted platforms. The speed of that pivot from the physical world to the digital underground is just staggering. And think about the stark contrast we're dealing with here. On one hand, you've got the physical crime scene, right? It's a fortress of a smart home with cameras, sensors, alarms everywhere. Traditional detective work normally thrives there. But cross that threshold into the digital realm, the captors suddenly enjoy absolute anonymity. Those millions of dollars in physical security measures were basically rendered entirely useless the second the battleground shifted to the encrypted web. Which brings us to part 2, the ransom labyrinth. As investigators start tracking those initial breadcrumbs, the physical world is left behind for this intensely psychological phase. So, the kidnappers didn't just ask for a duffel bag of cash or a wire transfer. No, they demanded multi-sig cryptocurrency. If you're not familiar, this is a complex digital transaction method that requires multiple cryptographic keys from different parties just to authorize a movement of funds. By using multi-sig, the captors perfectly obfuscated the financial trail. They essentially built an encrypted maze with dead ends at every single turn. But here's where it gets really twisted. The ransom wasn't even just about the money. It was straight-up psychological warfare. The predators specifically leveraged the CEO's proprietary tech access because they knew the immense value of the intellectual property locked inside their head. And on top of that, they totally tormented the rescuers with the burden of proof of life. Think about it. In an era where AI can fake a voice or a video in seconds, establishing deepfake-resistant protocols becomes this agonizing, incredibly time-consuming hurdle for the rescue team. All right, part 3, infiltrating the underground. With that digital clock constantly ticking down, playing defense was no longer an option. To actually find this missing CEO, an elite private intelligence team had to go on the offensive. They had to navigate the highly paranoid, closed-invite criminal forums of the dark web. We are talking about shadowy networks where trust literally does not exist. One wrong click, one misplaced word, and your cover is instantly burned. They had to become ghosts in a machine run by predators. The tension during this infiltration was off the charts. Step 1 was just finding the closed invite forum where the intermediaries operated. Step 2, a crazy high-stakes digital handshake to establish credibility without blowing their cover. And then finally, step 3 brought the massive breakthrough. Investigators managed to identify and exploit a really subtle flaw in the captor's customized encryption tool. Just one tiny digital flaw, and that is what finally exposed a real-world physical location. Which leads right into part 4, the high-stakes extraction. Armed with that crucial metadata, the virtual hunt instantly snapped back into a physical reality. The climax of this operation required total precision. We're talking a perfectly synchronized physical raid hitting the remote black site identified by the intel team. But the breach brought immediate tactical failures. The kidnappers had actually rigged automated data wipe triggers, so the exact moment the physical perimeter was breached, servers immediately began destroying evidence, injecting a layer of absolute chaos into the physical rescue. 0. That was the absolute 0 hour. The extraction culminated in these incredibly tense final seconds.
The physical recovery of the CEO was happening exactly as the digital clock hit zero for the final non-negotiable ransom deadline. Just a perfect, terrifying collision of the physical and digital timelines. Let's move to part 5, aftermath of the digital breach. The extraction was a success. The CEO was recovered. But as you can probably guess, the story doesn't end there. This heist left a profound, long-term psychological impact on industry leaders. It proved that immense wealth and traditional security, they're no longer a shield. We are living in an era of hyper-visibility. And if you take away nothing else from this, remember this. Your digital footprint is your largest vulnerability. For the tech elite, the realization that their physical safety can be compromised entirely through digital avenues has permanently altered how they live and operate. Because traditional smart home security failed so spectacularly here, the industry is forcing a massive pivot toward these extreme 2026 security standards. We are now looking at the normalization of advanced biometric authentication just to move through daily life. There are even radical discussions around neural link protection for high-value targets to prevent forced coercion. The baseline for personal security has basically been escalated forever. Which leaves us with this chilling final thought to wrap up our explainer today. As our physical and digital lives completely merge, and as these criminal syndicates become just as technologically advanced as the massive companies they target, has Silicon wealth become the ultimate prey? It is a reality we all have to grapple with as the vanishing point between the physical and the digital disappears completely. Thanks so much for joining me for this breakdown.